All right, you guys, well, today I have for you this 2024 Chevy Traverse. Take you around this SUV. It is a fresh redesign for the 2024 model year, and I think the styling is just really good on this Traverse. The last generation was kind of boring, a little bit bland in my opinion, but I just love what they did with this new one. I love these new headlights. The actual headlights are actually right here in the bumper, and these are just like the daytime running lights, but we'll keep going around here. And I just really love the styling back here too. Just really unique, really good. I like how this black bar kind of goes across, and these taillights look really good too. I also like these quad exhausts. Some might find that a little tacky because this is only 4 cylinders and it has a quad exhaust, but I kind of like it. I think it fits the look back here pretty good. We'll pop the tailgate. Also has like a nice key, kind of like a slim look to it. But going back here, you do get a decent cargo area behind the third row. You also get a little underfloor storage down here, and you can also fold the third row down with these little straps. So I'll try folding it down here, and that kind of gives you an idea of all the space you get. It's pretty good, pretty decent, nothing like totally crazy. I mean, it's pretty average for an SUV, and this floor is a little bit high up, but it is still pretty good, pretty usable. And we'll try out this third row in a minute here, see how that is. You also do get a 12-volt outlet, but we'll close up this power tailgate. And it closes pretty good, as you can see. Again, I just love those taillights right there, but we'll show you guys under the hood real quick. All right. So this is kind of an interesting engine for this car. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It makes 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. It is paired to an 8-speed automatic. That's actually pretty impressive, 328 horsepower from a turbo 4-cylinder. Even the previous V6 made like 300 horsepower, so this is technically more powerful than the previous generation with less cylinders. Interesting engine, interesting powertrain for this car. But we'll hop into the back seats really quick. It does have smart key entry, but there's no touch sensor. It's only these buttons on the door handle. But we'll try getting back here. I did move the seat up a little bit, but still plenty of room. It's really comfortable back here. You got these nice captain's chairs, and they feel nice to sit in. Nice and supportive, nice and comfortable. You do got your own personal climate control and a couple USB-C ports, and also a household outlet, which is nice to have. This is an LT trim, so it's kind of like a lower middle kind of trim, but you got these nice leather trimmed seats. These could be leatherette, but they still look really good. They feel really good. We'll try getting back in the third row. All right, and sitting back here, a little bit hard to get into, but once I'm back here, I could actually sit back here on like a longer trip. Not crazy comfortable, but it's not like I can't get back here. It's actually like pretty doable for a longer trip. The only weird thing is there's like no window right here, only this little glass piece, but it's kind of weird sitting back here with like no window really to look out of, but you get another USB-C port. All right, let's hop front, show you guys what everybody wants to see in this car. All right, we'll start it up. Okay, and this interior is definitely unique. I think it might be kind of a love it or hate it thing with this interior. You got these nice screens. These are giant screens, probably some of the biggest screens I've ever seen in a car before. But it does kind of feel like it's just the whole interior is these screens, and then there's kind of like nothing else. I personally don't have much of a problem with it, but I think some people might want a little more style than just a couple of big screens and then not much else. But all the materials feel pretty good in my opinion. This steering wheel has nice leather. It's kind of like a nicely bolstered wheel. Like it's kind of sporty. It's really chunky. You got drive modes, you got normal, you got sport, you also get off-road, snow and ice. So kind of like your 4 drive modes there. We'll try sport mode later on, but start off in normal. On this side of the screen, you get most of your ordinary car functions, like your headlight controls are right here. There's no dial for them, but they're always in this part of the screen, no matter what menu you're on. You also get your lane centering assist, and you got a couple other controls in here, like your dome light. You can of course tap the dome light to turn it on, but you can also turn it on that way if for some reason you want to do that. You also get your cameras, so you have a front camera, a top down camera, and of course we shift into reverse and we also do get a backup camera, which looks really good. Pretty clear resolution. Brings me to my next point, this shifter. You push in and down for drive and in and up for reverse, and press on the end for park. Kind of interesting. It's definitely a little more intuitive than the GM cars with the toggle switches. This is like right here where my hand is. It feels nice and intuitive to use, so I don't mind that. I really like this screen. It's very responsive. The graphics, the quality looks really good, as does this gauge screen. But we'll talk about this for a minute here. You get Google Maps, and this is just like such a good display. I really love how high quality it is. I mean, it looks just like the newest smartphone out there. Really crisp, really clear quality. You can adjust your climate controls through here, but they do give you hard buttons for those. You also get heated seats and a heated steering wheel, which they actually work really good. There's no tuning dial in this car. You just have to use these little buttons. It's a little bit annoying, and your volume dial is right here. Has kind of an interesting design. This gauge screen though I want to talk about. This is really nice. Right now it shows like my tach and my speedometer kind of in the same dial. My date and time and my music, but I can actually easily change the layout. So I can have a full Google Maps display. And here again, very high resolution. I can have my adaptive cruise control. I can have just a plain screen, or I can just go back to where it was. So it's pretty configurable. You have shortcut buttons for your music. You also have your volume and tune on the back of the steering wheel, cruise control, all of that stuff, paddle shifters, wireless charging pad, and center console is very big, as you can see. Lots of storage, USB-A and USB-C, and a power outlet. These screens kind of look a little bit tacked on, but other than that, it's a nice place to be. It has good quality in here, I'd say. But let's talk about how this 2024 Traverse drives. It actually does really well on this gravel patch right here. I don't even really feel the gravel at all as I'm driving over it. Very big car, as you'd probably expect. It's actually not the easiest to drive. It's actually a really big car. You can hear that turbo 4-cylinder. I'm not crazy about the sound of this engine. It sounds a little grainy, a little bit harsh. It's kind of loud and intrusive in the cabin a little bit. The 8-speed automatic is pretty slick shifting. Very quiet in here, nice quiet interior. One thing I notice is that this throttle response is a little strange. When you go to tap on it, it feels like nothing really happens, like the engine kind of takes a little bit of time to wake up. But then all of a sudden it like revs really far with the most like minimal throttle input. Like nothing. But then it like revs to like 3,500 RPM and I'm barely pressing it. It seems like they tuned this engine to like rev really high in each gear, even in normal mode. Got this giant blocky hood in front of you. It's a little bit obstructing out the front, but we'll try to get out on this road here, test out some power. All right. For 328 horsepower, it actually does feel a little soft, in my opinion. It's a little soft on torque, surprisingly. That's just the feeling I get. It's not like it can't get up and go, but it's not like you step on it and you're like, whoa, this is crazy fast, or anything like that. It's pretty normal. It's pretty average. Surprisingly, you actually don't get much turbo lag. You don't get that like turbo lag sensation in this car. It's definitely like they smoothed out the power band, which I guess that was probably intentional, because it's a family SUV. Most families don't want to deal with turbo lag. But it is kind of soft at the beginning of the rev range. Like this throttle is a little delayed. But it is like, it kicks in decently smooth. It's decently torquey in the mid-range. I'm not crazy about the sound though. That's the only thing that kind of breaks it for me. Just like this sound. This 8-speed automatic though is nice and responsive. I'd even might say it's a little too responsive. It kind of holds the gears out a lot longer than you might expect. This steering is also kind of an interesting point. It's actually like a pretty heavy steering feel. Like they tuned it to have some weight in it. Like it's pretty hefty when you turn it. But it's a little slow at the same time. When you're rounding sharp corners, it's kind of feels like you have to turn the wheel a lot when you're turning, and it's also just kind of heavy, like hard to turn when you're trying to make a sharp move like that. So like combined, like the slowness combined with the heaviness is a little bit of a problem, I think. When you're just driving in a straight line, I mean, it's decently responsive. It's pretty precise. It has like a good kind of chunky premium feel to it. It's not like some other GM cars in the past where it was just totally numb and totally boring. This has some weight to it. It has some substance to it. But it is just a little too slow and a little too heavy for my liking. But yeah, just a very smooth ride. They definitely did the quietness and refinement aspect correctly. Very quiet, and just a very smooth ride. That's probably the biggest like main point of this car. Brakes are nice and smooth. Pedal is very responsive, very touchy. And also like very refined, like really solid and like brand new car kind of smooth feel to them. We'll try sport mode actually. Just pop it into sport mode. Alright, I don't notice much of a change right away. It seems to accelerate and shift kind of the same in sport mode. I think it holds off from its top gear. That's the only thing I kind of notice right now. You don't sit as tall up as you do in a Suburban. I drove a Suburban a couple of weeks ago, and this definitely feels lower to the ground than that. Like, kind of like a big blocky front end, but still kind of low compared to some other bigger SUVs on the road. Alright, I'm taking it through some corners. It's okay, actually. I mean, it does pretty good. Steering is a little mushy, suspension a little wallowy, but it still does it like okay. Still feels a kind of zippy, kind of athletic through the corners. We'll try taking it down this little road right here. And we'll just quickly try out our turning radius. That steering is kind of hard to turn, like I said, but good turning radius, honestly. Pretty precise. Try out this corner. And yeah, you know, it does it okay. It's not too bad, not some crazy thrill, but better than SUVs of the past, for sure. It's actually pretty refined in the corners. Okay, but we will take it on the highway here, see how it does. Pretty good cornering. Alright. It does have a pretty good top end, which is unusual for a turbo engine. Try out some passing power. It does pass pretty good. I mean, you have to rev it a little bit high, but it does pass pretty good. Downshifts nice and quick. Handles speed well. I mean, doesn't even feel like I'm really going that fast. A little hard to maintain your speed on the highway without cruise control. I'll take this exit here. Alright, you guys, well, I think I'll end the video in this little neighborhood right here as the 2024 Chevy Traverse. Kind of like I was talking about with making turns, steering is a little mushy. It might be a drawback for some people. I think I'll just stop right here. All right. And yeah, a few things to note. The throttle pedal is a little inconsistent for my liking. You step on it and like nothing really happens until all of a sudden it's taking off too quickly. I do love the smooth, quiet ride of it. It's very refined, but it's also a very big car. Feels like a giant car when you're driving it. It's not the easiest, like, you know, trying to park it, navigating like tiny spaces. It's not the easiest. It's a very big car. Doesn't hide it. Interior is a little plain other than these screens, but I think it works still. I think it looks good. It's good for like a mainstream kind of car. This car doesn't do everything perfectly. It does have some slight shortcomings here and there, but for the most part, it's a pretty impressive effort. I think it looks a little better than like a Honda Pilot or a Toyota Highlander. I think these screens are pretty good, pretty class leading, but I think we will shut it off and we'll hop out. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone.